Like Kevin mentioned, my name is Andrew Wikel. I've been with Automatic and Woo Themes for about a year and a half. So I work with payment gateways mostly, and that's my Twitter handle. If I can get SlideShare to load after this, I will upload my slides and I'll tweet a link out. So there's probably a bit that we're going to cover pretty quickly, so you can have the resources later. And then I'll be headed from here to the help desk. So if you have any questions, I'll be there, and then I'll be wandering around all week. So any questions, feel free to ask them a little bit after that. So debugging WooCommerce. We're not going to go too deep, but everyone knows that sometimes things just don't go how you want them. The best laid schemes of mice and men. It's a pretty famous quote from a poem by Robert Burns, and that can come into play a lot of times with websites, right? We've all had instances where all of a sudden something doesn't work on your website. So sometimes I feel Ben's pain. When you're talking about debugging, a lot of times you just sit there with a sad face and you just aren't quite sure what happened, what went wrong, and but we can move on from there. So WooCommerce is kind of awesome. I kind of like it. It's kind of what I do. So with the extensibility of WooCommerce, a lot of times there is issues with code conflicts, or you have a theme that you got from a particular marketplace and it just doesn't work correctly. Maybe it modifies some template files that it shouldn't, or whatever. And a lot of times the conflicts that you run into isn't necessarily because of bad code. Not every code is just going to work 100% with every other piece of code that you have on your site, right? Every plugin you adds in code that is modifying WooCommerce in some way. And then every theme that you have modifies WooCommerce typically in a different way than any other theme. So it's a great way to get plugins and themes and everything. It's a great way to customize exactly how you want your store, but just be prepared that not everything is going to work 100% with everything else. So the possession of great power necessarily implies great responsibility. Also known in the Spider-Man universe as with great power comes great responsibility. And so that's something that a lot of people, when they jump into WooCommerce for the first time, they don't really understand, right? So they add in a plugin that they found somewhere and it looks really cool, and all of a sudden their site is just white and nobody knows what's going on. And so when this happens, if it ever happens to you, and it's happened to me on multiple times, and I have actually done it to client sites live, and I'm not necessarily proud of that, but it happens, okay? So when it happens, just stay calm. Don't freak out. Take your time. Figure it out. So we're going to walk through. Just be calm. You're not going to do anyone any favors, let alone yourself, if you're panicking. So we're going to find the problem. A lot of times it's right there. It's just under something, just barely under the surface. So you can't quite see the issue, but it's not too hard. You don't need a developer to figure this out. So here's a list of questions to ask, and it's a fairly extensive list. But if you look at this, a lot of times something will stand out to you. The easiest way for you to get this list is to just grab my slides after. You can take a picture, whatever. No, yeah. But you can look at this and be like, oh yeah, well I did just add that one plugin and everything died. Okay, it's probably that plugin. Or I changed my theme. Oh, yep, okay, the cart no longer functions. All right, it's probably the theme. So you can take a look and you can narrow it down fairly easily a lot of times. So sometimes the problem is right in the chair. The picnic underneath stands for problem in chair, not in computer. Sometimes it's user error. Sometimes we're idiots. Sometimes I'm personally an idiot. So one time I went to a fairly well-known news site, and I used my regular browser on my home computer, and I navigated, and I was like, ooh, I should share this with my Facebook friends because it was a really good article. So I went to hit share, and all of a sudden nothing happened. Like the box just disappeared. I reloaded the page, and I tried it again. I inspected element, and I was like, oh, what's going on? I was like JavaScript debugging, and then I went, and I was like, I can't fix this. I submitted a contact form and said, hey, your sharing is broken. And then 30 seconds after I hit send, I realized, oh wait, I have one of those social blockers on my browser. I should probably check it in another browser. And sure enough, it was me blocking the Facebook button. And so I hastily sent another contact thing saying, hey, don't mind me, I'm an idiot. Just ignore my last contact form, please. Don't respond to this, please. Yeah, so don't acknowledge me. So we built a really cool tool called the System Status Report. How many of you guys have ever seen the menu item for the System Status Report? How many of you have ever looked at the System Status Report for your site? Awesome. Yeah, so we built it for us, but it's a tool for anyone that can use, and it's going to help you immensely. So when we get tickets in WooCommerce, a lot of times, almost 50%, I can solve the issue just by the System Status Report. I don't need anything else from you. I can say, oh, well, PayPal's not working, and he doesn't have the remote get enabled on his server. Tell your host to enable remote get. Okay, so things to look for on your System Status Report is going to be things in red. That's your main red flag, right? Universal color. If you're using an old version of a plugin or a theme from us, it'll let you know that, and you'll say, hey, there's a new version out, you should probably update. That might solve your issues. And it'll also tell you if your theme is overriding any default WooCommerce templates, so you can fix that. And it'll tell you if those templates are out of date. So it may be that they're out of date, it may be that they're just doing it wrong. Just that it happens. And there's a handy tool in the System Status Report tools that you can override the templates and go back to the default WooCommerce ones only for admins, so you can check on that without disrupting your customers seeing what's there. So if you're still not seeing anything in the System Status Report, then my next instinct would be to go to the page that you're seeing the issue on. So let's say it's the cart, and the cart's not refreshing correctly. You can go there and you can use the inspect element to bring up the console in your browser choice. All of them have it. And you can check the JavaScript for errors, stuff like that. At this point, you're not really necessarily being a developer here. Basically, you're looking for something that's going to tell you what's causing the issue, right? You're not going to debug the JavaScript yourself. But if it says, hey, this plugin is having an issue, which a lot of times it will tell you a specific file path, and you can say, oh, it's that plugin. I'm going to disable that one or whatever. And then a lot of WooCommerce extensions, particularly shipping methods and payment gateways, have logging built into them. So if you're having issues with, the order paid signals not coming back from your credit card processor, okay, you can see in the log that it went out correctly, everything's correct, it's just not making it back. So maybe it's your security plugin, maybe it's your server blocking it with mod security rewrites, whatever. And WP debug. WP debug is built in WooCommerce or WordPress function. WooCommerce is a standard WordPress plugin, so if there's any PHP errors, it will output to WP debug, so you can use that. So now we're going to get to it. We're going to fix the problem, right? So don't do any of this live. And if I could repeat anything, in fact, I will. Don't do any of this live. Make sure you have a backup of your site, and you should be doing any updates or plugin installs or anything like that on a staging site. Staging sites come with a lot of hosts nowadays. A lot of the hosts that are featured here will have that for you, built right into your plan. And if not, there are WordPress plugins that are free that can make a staging copy of the site for you. And it'll be in a subdirectory, and you can log in and you can make all the changes you want there, and nothing will affect your live site. So when you make changes to your site, do it on a staging site. And also, make sure you have a backup of your site. Those are crucial. So you figured out initially that installing this one plugin or changing your theme or whatever it may be broke your site. So let's undo how you broke it. Just undo it, right? So you either revert the backup or you deactivate the plugin or however you need to do it, but undo it. And typically that's going to solve like 90% of your issues that you see. Sometimes it's a little bit deeper than that. If it is a bit deeper than that and you don't know exactly what went wrong, the best way to do this is to start in a vacuum. So deactivate everything. If it's a WooCommerce specific issue, it's just WooCommerce. That's it. WordPress and WooCommerce. If it's one of the plugins with WooCommerce, so like it's an issue with your gateway or it's an issue with, follow-up emails or whatever, then just those two plugins, WooCommerce and the other plugin. And you start with our theme Storefront, because Storefront we know works. We test it hundreds and hundreds of times. So we know it works. If it doesn't work with Storefront, then it's not the theme causing it. We can rule out the theme by doing that. So then you try to break it again. And if you don't succeed, then you know that it was one of those things, either the theme that you deactivated and switched from Storefront or to Storefront, or it's one of those plugins you deactivated. So you can go ahead and start reactivating plugins. I do it in batches. Like I say, these 10 plugins are clean, and I reactivate 2 more or 10 more, and then go from there. So you can find the culprit and then you would contact the developer typically, because you got it from someone or somewhere else typically, so let them fix it. If it doesn't exactly work, right, you went down to just WooCommerce and Storefront, and it still doesn't work, it may be your server. It's quite possible. Even the best hosts sometimes have issues with specific portions of WooCommerce and WordPress. So try it on a different host or different server if you can. Google, it's not cheating, it's how I learned my job. Like literally half of my job is Googling better than everyone else does. So if I had like a chance to rewrite my job title, it'd be professional Googler, and it would be a very accurate job title. So use it. Our documentation will come up if we have a document for it, because we rank very highly thanks to that guy over there. And so we're going to show up for any results that we have. So you can search, Google your issue, however you want to phrase it. Google's pretty good at figuring out what you actually mean, and just read the documentation. Okay, so still no. Call in the big guns. So we're here to help. If you have a plugin from us, we're here to help. You're paying for our support, and the people who made the plugin are going to be there to support you. Another great place is Woo Experts. So we have a whole section on our site, Woo Experts. There's a lot here, and they're going to be able to help debug and figure out what went wrong. They can write custom code for you, that kind of stuff. They know their stuff. And then we have success, because you just successfully debugged your WooCommerce website. So resources to remember, WooCommerce documentation. That's going to be key, right? So if you have an issue with one of our plugins, we have docs for it. And they're pretty up to date. They're very helpful. They're going to have the issues that you're looking for. Woo Experts, there's a group on Facebook called Advanced WooCommerce that is a very good resource. You can ask questions there. You can look at past questions, see what other people have said, that kind of stuff. Just get advice from some leading industry experts. They do a really good job. And then we have a whole video series on WooCommerce Troubleshooting 101. So there's a video series on it, if that's your type of thing. Thanks a lot. That's my Twitter handle, again, if you want. I'm kind of in the way of some people. And automatic.com. And we are hiring if you're interested in working for the best company in the world. So automatic.com. Yes. Thanks a lot.